Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a heart with some roses. The reference photo is very realistic, but we're going to make it a little bit more impressionistic, make them very, very simple. Should be a good beginner project, I think, for Valentine's Day. Got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to be manning chat for us during the live show, so let's get started. Okay, I just realized I didn't print out the example. So you have to imagine a heart right here. Go ahead and pop up the side cam there. We'll at least have it up there. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. All right, let's go over our colors real quick. I've got carbon black. I'm not sure if we're going to use that or not, but it's always good to have it out just in case. Titanium white, unbleached titanium, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Medium, Cadmium Red Light, yellow, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, Burnt Umber, and Burnt Sienna. If I went over those colors too fast for you, they are down in the description. All the materials and brushes that we're going to be using today are down in the description in my materials list. So I get comments all the time about people asking me what colors, and I'm like, they're down there. All right, so I want to fill up this whole canvas. I decided to do it on a 12 by 12 inch canvas panel. That way we don't have a lot of wasted space on the sides, but you can really do it on any size canvas that you want. So I think I want the peak to come down right to about there, and then the bottom to come down to about right there. Leave a couple fingers width at the bottom, and then a couple at the top here, and here. So those will be our two top sections. I'm just kind of mapping out how big I want my heart to be. So we'll do it like that, and leave us a couple of finger spaces on the sides as well.
Okay, does it matter whose fingers we're using?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Just clarifying.
Right. I might come down a little bit farther down just so that there's more room on the bottom there, so that this part here is a little bit farther down. This is kind of the main focal point area. All right. I think that's good. It's not going to come down that far. All right, so there's our basic heart shape. Hope you can see that okay. And then we're going to start just filling it up with our rose shapes. So right here at the bottom, I'm going to put a big circle there for that rose. And then we'll put another big one right here. Another one right here. One right here. They don't have to be kind of evenly spaced. We can have some baby's breath in between, so like these two may be a little bit farther apart. And they're not all going to be perfectly circles. Some of them are going to kind of be facing away from us, so keep that in mind too. There are a couple of small ones right here, another big one. And really, this is up to you. You can do it kind of however many roses you want. I'm kind of going by the reference photo here. This one's kind of an oval shape. It got a little smushed there. So basically we're just kind of putting in ovals and circles. So, and coming right up to the edge so that it fills up that whole space. And if we've got a big open area, we can put another, actually I think I want this one moved up. There we go. We'll do that one there. We'll do another one like this. Okay. Here.
Okay, we got a question.
Okay.
Asking, does the heart have to be symmetrical?
No, it can be, yeah, you can make it whatever. In fact, I was thinking it might be, if you didn't want to do a heart, you could do your initials, like, you could do somebody's, just a big block letter and fill that in with roses. I thought that would be pretty, like if somebody's getting married or something, you could put their, put a big old A there or whatever, their last name is going to be. Thought that might be kind of cool too, so.
Tank shapes.
Exactly, tank shapes, yep. Ever floats your boat. One of these days we're going to have to paint a tank for you, hon. We won't have any more. Okay, so there we go. We don't have any more comments about that. All right, so we filled it up. We kind of random sized circles there, kind of circles and ovals, just making sure we kind of used up all of our space. And I'm going to start out by using a large flat brush, and I really probably should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't think of it until it was too late. And this is early, so thank you guys who are coming to us at a different time. So normally we're on later on in the day, so for our live shows, but we had a concert to go to this afternoon. Spencer's All Region Band concert is this Saturday. I love how they let us know, you know, plenty of time ahead of time, as in like 3-4 days ahead. You know? Yeah.
Well, you got nothing else to do than sit around waiting for band stuff to happen.
Exactly, exactly. You better not have anything scheduled in case, just in case.
Or getting married or, you know, 100th birthday party or anything like that.
Right,
Forget
nothing
that.
important, no. All right, so I'm going to fill in around my heart and just kind of go right up to and in between these rose shapes with this white paint. Like I said, you could do this ahead of time. You just really want to get, even though my canvas is white, it's just gesso and it's not a smooth surface. It will just be better to paint it with a coat of titanium white here. And I thought, actually, initially, I thought I might do the background black. I thought it might be kind of a cool contrast. So really, you could do your background any color that you wanted to, as long as it kind of, you know, goes along with your rose colors. But, you know, you can mix and match. Uh-oh, I got gray in there. Didn't want to do that.
Okay, cut video.
Stop.
We'll edit.
Start over.
We'll edit this out. They'll never see that.
Okay. That was dangerous putting that black up near my white anyways. Probably not smart. All right, I'm just going to wipe that off. Sorry. Ooh, got a big old hair.
We're falling apart here at
We're
the
shedding.
seams.
Yeah, I know. All right, so I can see that gray in there. That's all right. Actually, gray would be very pretty, honestly. We're going to just pretend like we meant to do that. No,
It is now.
But yeah, if you're new to our show, we're welcome. We're so glad to have you join us today. And hello to all our regular viewers who
All the irregulars.
coming in on a different time with us. I appreciate you guys making time for us today. We hope that if you are new, that you'll subscribe to our channel and come back and watch us again and again. We have shows twice a week and all kinds of recordings, over 200 now, of all kinds of different level acrylic painting tutorials for beginners and more advanced as well. So something for everybody. This one I would definitely say falls in the beginner, will fall in the beginner level, hopefully. Hopefully I say that. Since I haven't painted it yet. But I have done these kind of roses, so the kind that I'm thinking of, I think are going to be very easy. And somebody was saying it looked hard. And I said, well, if we were doing it realistically, it might be a little bit tricky, but we're doing it simple style, so it won't be difficult. Okay. So, and then I want to just make sure, as I put my paint out on my canvas, that I'm smoothing out any large ridges, because those ridges will dry hard. The acrylics dry, you know, firm. So any of these raised areas will dry with texture. You know, it'll be a raised texture. And if you don't want that, then you just need to kind of lightly smooth over your canvas And I just kind of set my brush at an angle and sort of just drag it across to pick up any extra paint. But I usually do that as I go, so.
Okay, I got 2 questions.
Yes.
First, Deb asked if the gesso be sanded.
Mm-hmm,
And do you want to have a smooth surface for this?
It probably wouldn't hurt. It just depends on what you like. I kind of like the raised texture because I feel like it kind of picks up, especially if you dry brush, but we're not going to be dry brushing much today, so I don't think it really matters. But so yeah, you could smooth it out if you want it a little bit smoother. Okay. Let's see, what color do I want in between here? So I want a dark color in between my roses. I think I'm going to go with the green, because that's probably sort of similar to what the baby's breath would look like. And I'm going to grab the burnt umber here. Maybe a little bit of the blue so that it's a little bit prettier. Yeah, that's good. Kind of a slight teal green, but dark. Grab some of that blue. There we go. It's kind of a blue, gray, green color. There we go. Okay. And we're going to tap that in around our roses. And I've switched to a Filbert brush, but really any small brush will do. And I'm going to tap that in just kind of around our roses and kind of stop just before the edge a little bit. So it can kind of feather out towards the edge somewhat, but I think that was my humidifier turning off.
Yep. Hey, could you just kind of go over how you did the circles? Were they random? Because we were zoomed out a little bit and it wasn't easy to see that.
Yes, they were. I kind of went by the reference photo, but I sort of started out here at the bottom because I knew that was going to be the one that, you know, kind of anchored this heart shape. And then I sort of just slowly started moving up and stacking them and filling up the spaces. But you do your large ones first, and then you can kind of fill in any gaps with smaller ones if you want to. And then we'll also have this baby's breath in between. So where we're putting this green part will also be, you know, flowers, so they don't have to be like stacked right up next to each other. You leave a little bit of space so that they can have some baby's breath in between. That makes sense. And they're kind of circles and ovals. You know, some of them are kind of like smushed in on this photograph. So, and as I get toward the ends, I've just kind of like lightly brushing it out towards that white border over the top just a little bit. And if it's not going down into the cracks and it's like leaving these little white dots, what you can do is add a little bit extra water to your paint and it will get right down into those little cracks. So just add a little bit of water and it'll soak right into your canvas. That is one thing about sanding that can help too, because sometimes, you know, if you put an extra coat of gesso in and sand it, then you won't have these little white gaps as much because you've got a more smooth surface. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. This part is going to be kind of tedious, and it's going to look worse before it looks better. These paintings, especially acrylics, you know, require some layering before they start to look good. Usually they look worse before they look better. So just kind of know that going into it, that you're not doing anything wrong here. When you get to this point, you're just going to look like a hot mess, just like mine does right now. So that's normal, totally normal. Just keep on working through that ugly stage and we'll get you to where they're supposed to be. Keep on working at it until they look right. Okay, just pulling out and just kind of slightly wisping and lifting as I get along those edges. So got some soft, fuzzy edges here.
So on our scale of Stickman to Van Gogh, Stickman being the hardest.
Stickman to Van Gogh?
Yeah, how Van Gogh-ish easy is this?
How Van Gogh-ish is this?
No, easy.
Van Gogh easy.
Okay, well, stop confusing people. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the hardest.
I would say probably a 2. I don't think it's going to be super hard.
I was going to go like 2.86321.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
That works. I defer to your math skills, Mr. Art Engineer. Because you know my math skills. Although I did really well with math in school, I just don't use it enough that it's just not there anymore.
As long as you know the odd number of evens, we're okay.
Yeah. I think everybody understood what I was saying there.
Yes, you get a room full of art people understanding that, then I get scared, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You all knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, they did. They knew exactly what I meant. The people who weren't here for that show are like, what are they talking about? I need to stop referencing other shows.
Oh, but then they have to go look for it.
Oh, I don't even remember which one that was.
I think it was the birch trees with cardinals. You're talking about an even number of odds, or no, it was flowers, wasn't it?
I can't remember. It's been too many shows since then.
Back to the show.
Don't try to make me remember. Okay. All right, so there we go. We've got it all kind of filled in. That's where I give us a dark background for our baby's breath, because we need that dark, or otherwise if we put white flowers on top of the white canvas, they just would be nothing, you know. You wouldn't be able to tell what they were. All righty. Clean that out really well, because I want to use that brush again for my roses. And this is the fun part. We're going to figure out what colors we want to use on our roses. And I think I'm going to kind of pretty much go by the picture there and use pink and red. But you really could use whatever color roses you wanted to. I'm going to put out some more white here. And I'm not going to show you how to screw on the cap this time. Mark teased me about that last time. All right.
What?
Yeah, you. So I want to do kind of a medium color at first on the background of our roses. We'll do medium, then we'll do some dark areas and then light areas. So I'm going to go with kind of a medium pink here with the Quinacridone Magenta and white, and just pick out a few of these that I want to be this color. So let's see. Really didn't go by my picture very well, so I'm gonna go right over the top of that green. I brought the green in on my flowers a little bit, so I'm gonna start shaping out these petals and creating some irregular borders. They don't have to be perfectly circle. So, because our petals are going to kind of layer out and create kind of an irregular border. You know, you're going to have petals sticking out. It doesn't have to be perfectly circular.
And which brush are you using?
This is the Filbert.
Okay, still Filbert.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just cleaned it out. So, right. Do you like that? So I've got kind of a rounded edge here, and then I've kind of come around and done some little petals on either side. So kind of creating some shapes here. Let me do one up here. Let's do this one up here, this color. So this one is going to be facing this way, so I'll do kind of a rounded shape there, and then sort of a bowl shape like that. The ones that are more towards the center are going to be more circular, and then these ones that are on the outside are going to be more, I want to say triangular or bowl shaped. Okay, I think that's good. Let's move on and do some red. So I'll use the Quinacridone Magenta and some Cadmium Red Medium, and that's going to create kind of a cherry red color. Pick up a little bit of white, and we'll do some of these in this color. A little bit warmer red. I'm just trying to see where I want to put some of these. Okay, right here.
You're trying to go so that there's no so matchy patterny.
Yeah, yeah.
More random looking.
Mm-hmm. More random. Leaving some spaces in between colors. Right, and then here on the outside edge, I'm going to create a rounded edge there for that outside petal, like that. Small one in here. And it probably would help to have some photos of roses to reference, just to kind of look, and what you're looking at is just the outline outside shape. So don't look at the whole thing, just kind of focus in on what the outline of it looks like. You'd be kind of surprised about what shapes you're seeing there, because there might be different than what you think that they would be. That makes sense. We've all got kind of ideas in our heads of what things are supposed to look like, and that's one of the things that makes it hard for us to draw properly, because your brain starts telling you that that doesn't look like a rose if you don't do it exactly how you have it pictured in your head, if that makes sense. So your brain actually will kind of fight you when you're trying to draw something realistically. Part of drawing is just kind of learning to trust what you're actually seeing and do that, and kind of ignore the preconceived notions that your brain has about what things should look like, if that makes sense.
It does.
It does make sense. Okay.
Excuse me. Let me try again.
I say that phrase a lot.
It does.
It does make sense.
It makes sense.
Okay, good. Gonna clean that out. And then I'm going to use kind of a combination of these two. Maybe a little bit of let's use a little bit of this Cadmium Red Light and the Quinacridone Magenta. More of the magenta. And let's use this Unbleached Titanium here. Use a lot of it. Well, I might as well have just mixed it right there. If you notice, I kind of scoop up the color that I want and then take it to a spot on my palette that's clean to mix it. That kind of helps keep the colors from getting too contaminated. And I'm going to spray them as I work too. Alright, so this is the background for some of our pink flowers. Peachy pink. And just going to fill in. It's a little bit off there, sorry.
Who's paying attention?
Huh?
Who's not paying attention?
I don't know. I hear you typing over there, so obviously you're not you. All right.
Here, I'll turn on the light too. No super chat, Jess.
Are you serious?
Serious, no super chat, but we're over 400 people viewing live, so
Yay.
We'll do it for that too.
I like it. Very nice.
Oops.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I thought I turned it off there. Sorry. Is that distracting?
Yeah, a little bit. Over 400. That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Especially this early in the morning.
I know. I'm impressed. I would not be up watching TV this early on a Saturday. That's for sure.
And that's no joke.
It's not. I'm not kidding.
Didn't know that you knew there was a 10 a.m. on Saturdays also.
I was like, well, we can either do it early or we can do it late. And like early was 10.
Yep. Early.
That was as early as my brain functions pretty much. Okay. Yeah, sadly not a morning person. I wish I was, but somebody said that all the creative types, and she was including me, I guess, in that she knows are not morning people either. So I guess it's a thing.
Yeah, they all tell themselves that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you, Mr. like falling asleep at 8 at night.
Hey, we make a perfect couple.
I know.
You got the night shift, I got the morning shift.
Exactly. All right. I'm gonna keep on filling in. This is kind of the boring part, but just kind of trying to fill in all these little gaps here. Most of them are going to be this kind of lighter pink. This is sort of our default color, I think. The majority of these are a little bit lighter color, but I think I want to do another color that's kind of in between these two. So what I'll do is pick up a little bit of this color and mix it with the Unbleached Titanium, and it'll create another, there we go, another red. And these don't have to be perfect at this point. Oh. We having some buffering.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on with the camera there.
Is it doing just the camera doing it?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's OBS is doing it.
Oh, well, saying my security program is performing background things while my computer is idle, which is not idle right now. So I think it's all right. I'm gonna grab the darker. Do this one dark. I don't know. It was just, I'm not sure. Click on that.
Go ahead, keep on.
Okay, that one right there.
Just keep on painting.
Okay. Okay, so this white is dry now. So this is optional. If you want to, you can do this part. If you don't want to, you just leave it off. But in our picture, we've got some splattering and things happening. So I'm going to just take my paint, grab this colors of these roses, and water this down quite a bit. I'm going to add a little bit of this glazing liquid just so that it sticks well to the canvas. This is the acrylic glazing liquid, golden. It'll just make the color stick better. Oh, okay, got a little bit on my, there, lifted it right off. And I'm going to go along the edges here. A lot of water and just kind of pull out some color. And you want it to kind of disappear into that white. So I'm just going to dab it on there. Some random brush strokes, and then I'm going to splatter. Of course I am.
What? You're going to splatter? What's this new technique you're doing?
So weird. I know. I never do that, do I?
Well, again, the people who are watching for the first time,
Yeah.
you're watching history be made.
I
Because this
pretty
is
much
the,
do that every show.
well, no, it's the early splatter movement they're seeing. You can say that you were alive during this time.
Yeah, there you go. So just tapping, holding my brush firm in one hand and tapping really hard with the other hand so that the paint kind of splashes off of the brush onto the canvas. And then I'm kind of dabbing in some other random little brush strokes in a couple places. So let's keep on doing. The key is to have this really, really wet. If it's not wet enough, it just won't drop off the brush, and it'll be too, I don't know, it won't be this kind of soft look. And what we can do too is kind of come back in and tap through with our paper towel and kind of soften those edges up too. Tap off some of that extra paint so that it looks a little bit softer. Okay, I'm just going to keep on working all the way around. Adding little dabs. And blotting. And if you get too much, or you don't like it, you can always go back in with your white and tone it down or cover up. It's a nice thing about working with acrylics, and nothing is ever set in stone. You can always go back in and change things. It's they're opaque, most of the colors are opaque, or you can make them opaque by adding white, and so that means you can cover over lots of things. So all these layers can be covered over and adjusted as needed. While I'm working around, I really like that kind of messy splattered look of the. That's probably why I was drawn to this picture in the first place. But I was honestly just looking for. I had the idea of doing roses in a heart shape, so and then it just happened that it had splatters too. So it was like bonus. Score. All right, gonna do a little bit of the darker red now. splatters with the darker red. Okay.
Just pretended be doing splatters for the side cam.
Okay. Just pretend what?
That you're doing splatters for the side cam.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm going to do some more.
All right, good.
Adding yellow oxide and this unbleached titanium here, and I'm going to mix it in with some of that pink to soften it up a little bit. A little bit of the glazing liquid just to make it stick to the canvas better. When you add a lot of water to it, you can make the paint less likely to bind to the canvas. So, especially with these, professional quality acrylics, because they have less binders than like craft acrylics do. They're more pigment than binder. So, all right, and splattering that color on. You can add a little bit of that in a couple places with the larger dots if you want. Just little dabs.
A little dab will do you.
Little dabs. Yep. Okay. It's pretty good. We can always add more later if we want to, but I think that's good for now. Kind of fun. All right, so now we're going to want to create some of our rose shapes. And I think I'm going to use some chalk here. Let's see if I can find one that's dry. There we go. Okay, so our basic rose shape is going to be circles on top of circles. So it's going to be kind of doing like this. And it's going to keep building, sort of like bricks. So we're going to start out with the center is going to be kind of a circle. Like that, sort of a broken circle, because those petals are overlapping a little bit like this. So we're kind of draw that shape. So like a C inside of a C, like that. And then in between, we're going to kind of go around where those two points meet. So right above this little section right here, we're going to have another petal that goes like that. So we've got these two meeting right here, overlapping right here, and we're going to have another one that's kind of cupping over the top of them. And as they go out farther and farther, those shapes are going to get wider and wider, and they're going to look more like V's than C's. So they're going to start getting little sharper edges. Like that. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but we'll do it in paint real quick, and you can hopefully see what I'm talking about. I'm going to grab some of the Quinacridone Magenta and a little bit of purple. It's going to make a really deep plum. And this is going to be the color that I'm going to use to do the dark areas of my wine or my very soft, bright pink roses. So I'm going to do like kind of a dot in the circle, in the middle, like a circle. And then I'm going to go just underneath my little petal shapes that I made. V shapes there, V shape there, V shape there.
So you said more like V or C as in
Well,
cat?
they start out as C's and then they widen out and become V's as they go out.
All right.
So that's kind of the start there. So let's find another one. So this one, we're kind of pointing it up that way a little bit. So we're not going to see all of it, but as it comes around the sides, these ones are going to be more visible. So we're going to still do the same shapes, but they'll just be a little bit, these ones up here will be a little bit tighter.
And we're still using Filbert.
Filbert, yep. Filbert, yep.
I need everybody out there who's watching, give us a thumbs up if you like the earlier time.
I think we lost all of our Europe folks because it's the middle of the night for them, right?
No, we're actually earlier for them.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we're like 4 hours earlier for them, so it's only it's 5:42 in Paris right now.
5:42 a.m.
PM in the afternoon there.
Really?
Yeah, they're 7 hours ahead of us.
Oh, ahead. Okay, I thought they were behind. Yeah. All right.
No.
Okay, well, maybe we should do... We can always move our Saturday ones to the mornings. We need to.
Man, you really sound excited about that. All right.
And I guess we can.
I guess we can move the studio into the bedroom, so just kind of roll over and start painting.
You're so funny. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit of that color and add this cadmium red to it. So I've got a little bit of that purpley color. Darker color here. And we're going to use that in our, there we go, roses here. We're just kind of laying out some dark shadows in our roses. I'm going to need it a little bit darker. So that when we put our highlight petals on, they'll have a little bit of a deep color in there. Just small, kind of comma-shaped brush strokes. Don't get too hung up on any one flower. I think that the looser that you are with it, the better. I think they start to, well, this type of painting at least, you know, just kind of let them each kind of have their own unique shape. So they're not so matchy. Okay, so that's looking good. And I think I'm going to use this color for the pinker roses too, because I need that dark color. So dot in the center, kind of a couple strokes outside, and then I'm just sort of randomly creating some petal shapes. So this one will be right here, center. A couple of brush strokes outside. This one I lost its color, but that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and use this on these pink ones too. Dot, circle, circle. Hope I'm not going too fast here, but let me know if I am. I can go over it slower. But obviously these are not going to be like super realistic, so that's kind of the idea, is to kind of create some stylized shapes. What are you laughing at over there?
You're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going too fast or not. You've done this once or twice before, I think.
Yeah. Well, roses are fun to paint. They're...
So, while we're here.
Okay.
So, traceables?
Yes, I'll have a traceable for this. If you don't want to, you know, have to draw this and you kind of want a little bit more help with these shapes, what I do is after the show, I trace out the design onto tracing paper and then take a photograph and put it on my Patreon page so that you can print it out and trace it directly onto the canvas with some transfer paper. There's graphite paper made for that, and you just take it and set it over the top and just trace right on top, and it'll transfer right onto the canvas just like paint by number. Almost makes it a little bit easier, especially if you don't like to draw. And those are $1 a month for all the traceables that you want. So,
and there's a link down below the video.
Yes, it's
for the Patreon page.
Angela Fine Art on Patreon. Patreon.com/Angela Fine Art. So.
And down below also you find links to Instagram, Twitter.
Yes. Oops, there's
YouTube.
This way. Yes. And we are doing our bonus video for this month off Patreon. Patreon for the $5 level folks, we do a bonus video every month, and tomorrow we're going to be doing that. So if you haven't signed up for that $5 level, you can do that still and find that bonus link in my Patreon page. Okay, this one was pointed downwards this way. I don't know if I didn't show that very well, but I kind of did my V-shaped petals a little bit deeper, and this one really kind of ended up being more solid than I meant for it to. I'm going to grab a little bit of white.
So we'll give a little teaser to the Patreon one also tomorrow. There's a giveaway.
Yes, because we met our goal on Patreon this month, so we are going to be giving away a painting.
So sign up, join the show tomorrow. You might win a painting.
Exactly. I think we're going to give people the choice between a couple of different paintings. So I haven't picked those out yet and decided exactly how we're doing it, but I think
we got to go to some yard sales, get some paintings real quick.
Well, we're not going to give it away during the show. We're going to give it away after. But I'm going to pick through all of my current Patreon's names, and we're going to pick a winner from the Patreon names. We're going to randomly pick a winner, because it also includes the $1 folks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it was all current patrons.
Hold on, I'm going to sign up real quick.
You're not eligible. Sorry, hon. All right, so let's grab some Ultramarine Blue. I'm going to mix that with my white, just a little bit of blue, lots of white, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Quinacridone Magenta too, and create kind of a soft blue-violet, very soft color. Lots of white. I'm going to use that to highlight a few of these roses on the bottom. And I'm picking these kind of pink ones to start with. The ones have more of that magenta color. I'll probably add a little bit more of that color in other places, but I'm going to wait. Put in my pink first. So we've done the medium color, then we did the dark color, now we're going to do our bright highlights. And wash that all out. That blue's going to look really weird right now, but once we get this pink on there, it'll make more sense. So I'll wait and add more later, because right now it looks weird. All right, so grabbing that Quinacridone Magenta, just a little bit of magenta, a lot of white. Making a very soft pink color. And we'll go ahead and use this Filbert. This is the number 4. It's about a 1/2 inch Filbert, I think, 1/2 inch wide. If you've got a smaller one, you might want to use that. I may end up switching to one of my smaller round brushes here. We'll see how this goes. So let's see. Let's use this on these pink ones here. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to switch to a smaller brush. I can't fit it in there. So I'm going to grab the number 2 round, and these are the Princeton 6100 series brushes that I'm using here. But this is kind of a small round. All right, so let's start at the center, and I'm going to create, now I'm going to create those C shapes that I talked about. This is the highlight part that's going to be pointing out a little bit, and I'm going to be kind of going around my shadow areas and pulling those shapes out a little bit. And that may be a little bit too white, so let me add a little bit more of that Quinacridone Magenta there. There we go. Okay. Okay, so once you zoom in here, and then they can see a little bit better what I'm doing on each one of these. All right, so let's work on these ones right here. So kind of C shapes around that dark area there. And then I'm going to go just over the top of that dark area and start creating these little shapes for these petals that are sticking up. And go right up over the edge too. Okay. And then I can go back in with some of that darker color and kind of blend in where some of those edges meet the rose there. Okay, let's do this one. C shape there, C shape here. Then another one there. Let's do a bigger one there. Oh, another way of doing this that would be much easier, and you may choose to do yours this way, is to just take them and create a spiral. So just kind of spiral your flower out like that. Do your dark color in a spiral and your lighter color in a spiral. Like that. So that's probably the easiest way of doing it. And then you can, if you want to make them a little bit more realistic, you can do these little V shapes. I kind of messed this one up, but that's all right. I wanted to show that as an option. Come back and fix that one later. This has got a little bit of that cadmium red in it, so it's a little bit more of an orangey pink. And really, you're just going to be kind of using a combination of all of these reds and whites to create these highlights. And really, you can use a variety. They don't have to be all the same. These kind of remind me a little bit of like a Matisse style, like if you know that artist. I think kind of the very stylized, expressionist type of roses. Not particularly realistic looking, but definitely can look at that and say that's a rose, but it's, you know. And if you wanted the long version, it would be hours. So if you want the realistic version, it's going to take a lot longer. So we don't have time for that today. This is about as close as we're going to get on short notice. Short time span. Do the one stroke, I guess. Those roses are very realistic looking, I guess. Okay. All these kind of V shapes as we get out farther. Sorry, was I off?
Just ever so barely.
Okay. And then we can kind of break up the center just by kind of doing some little dabs of color, so they're not perfectly circle right in the middle there. Right. Let's keep on looking here. Let's do this one down here. Just stacking bricks, kind of almost, with these petals. And just tucking them in between so that they're kind of layered, stacked. What are you laughing at?
Your mic is picking up the train horn.
Oh, is it?
Which is like miles away.
I know. I can barely hear it. That's funny. It is miles away. It's like way far away. That must be really loud. All right, just adding a little bit more of that dark in there. These ones that are out here, if you think about like doing your spiral this way, the ones that are back here are not going to be visible. Once you get down here, the back side of that flower is going right through the middle of this one. So you're really only going to see part of this. You're only going to see that part. You're not going to see the part that kind of tucks up behind the petal. So you can kind of wrap these around, these first layers around, but then once you get kind of down here, you're really only going to see these bottom sections. You're not going to see the rest of that rose.
Oh, we got a question.
Okay.
Sherry would like to know how much paint is on your brush.
It's pretty loaded. I'm really keeping it fairly thick with paint because you want it to come off pretty easily. I'm not pressing down particularly hard here, but I do have a lot of paint on my brush. So it's pretty well loaded up there. And then I'm just kind of setting it down and letting that it kind of drag off onto the canvas.
Yeah, this earlier time is playing havoc on your Australian fan base.
Oh, really? Why?
It's 4 in the morning there.
Oh,
now,
goodness gracious.
Right, so.
Do we have anybody up that early?
Yeah, Wendy's watching.
Wendy, you get the gold star today for the best fan. 4 a.m., man. That's hardcore. Thank you for joining us.
But I don't know if she's just going to bed or she's just waking up.
That's awesome. Okay. So doing that kind of spiral-ish kind of look right there. And then we're going to start overlapping with these kind of V-shaped petals for this bottom area of the rose, because these are kind of opening up. Like that.
So Wendy's after your own heart. She's just going to bed.
Nice. Yes. I knew I liked Wendy. Good for her. Super chat? What?
Super chat.
Nice.
From Chris. There's no chat, but it is super.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for your donation. And got to legitimately use the disco lights.
Nice. Okay. You can shut them off now. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chris. That's awesome. Chris gets a gold star, too. All right. I am put a little bit more Quinacridone Magenta here. I've got going to do these red roses. So I want a little bit more of that reddish color for these. Added white to my red, but I still had that pink in my brush, so it's kind of a little bit of all of these colors. And we'll see if this is light enough. It's probably not. Let's get a little bit more white here.
So Chris followed up with chat. It says, thank you for your awesome channel.
Oh, you are very welcome. We love it. We get to, well, I get to paint. Share what I love doing with other people. It's really amazing. All right, there we go. I think I like that one. Maybe one of my favorites so far. Filled up here. V shapes as we get out farther. Petals kind of wrap around a little bit more. Okay, I'm liking these red ones. Now, if this is not red enough for you, what we can do is we can do this layer, and then you can go back over it with a wash of darker red to deepen it up again and make it a little bit deeper, darker red. But we need this highlight layer to give us a little bit of contrast first. So you can get these a little bit darker red, but we need to put in some highlights first.
Okay, so what could a person do to not overthink doing these little comma strokes and stuff that you're doing?
If you maybe squint a little bit, it sounds weird, but honestly, kind of squint a little bit.
I almost spit out my water.
The squinting will help you, see the light and dark shapes without focusing, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the idea, is to keep it kind of soft and unfocused.
So take off your glasses.
Take off your glasses. Yep, that's it. That's it.
Put on a pirate patch.
Also, looking at it from a little bit farther away can help. Like just maybe even setting it out a little bit farther away, maybe holding your brush out a little bit farther away, off the edge, and drawing it that way. And that way you're getting a looser line, not as controlled. You can get some interesting, shapes that way. Instead of holding it up real tight, like that. So I would try that too. Try holding it way farther away and kind of doing some, and kind of let it happen. Don't try to fix everything, because sometimes the things that are, perceived as mistakes are some of the most interesting parts of a painting. So, do it, then set it out. You stop every now and then and kind of look at it from back. Go get a drink or something, maybe alcohol. No, I'm joking.
Say the more you drink, the better it looks.
The better it looks, exactly.
But it's only...
Get some beer goggles on and you're all set.
It's only 10 a.m. and you're already drinking. Wow.
My paintings are awesome.
We totally discourage that. We do not condone.
No. No, but coming back to it with the fresh eyes, fresh perspective can help, So going out, just leaving it and coming back, looking at it from farther away, because especially with these kind of impressionist type paintings, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's looking right when you're right up on it, because those they always, impressionistic type paintings read better, look better from farther away usually. So from close up, a lot of times they look like a bunch of random lines and things.
I've zoomed out so we can see the hand gestures.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's looking pretty cool zoomed out, though.
See? Starting. You see what I'm saying now? All right, so just got these darker pink ones left. So I added some Quinacridone Magenta to my white here. So I got a little bit brighter pink. And I might not like that blue after all, I don't know. See if I can fix that a little bit now that I'm seeing. Let's add a little bit of this blue to some of these pink petals on here too. Just a little bit of it. Blue's a really good color, ultramarine blue especially. It's a good color to use with a pink for a shadow, because it's, purple Purple is also a good color for shadows, but blue is really pretty, like soft white, very soft color. So it's a great light shadow color, if that makes sense. So you know your shadows don't always have to be dark, but you know some of these petals that are sort of tucked down in might be bright, might be getting some indirect light, but still be in shadows. So having a little bit of that blue color will help kind of set them back a little bit, make them look a little bit farther away. That makes sense. Without changing the value, without making them darker in reality. So, just a little trick. Right. Almost done here.
30 minutes.
What time do we have to go get Spencer? Are we good?
Oh, I got to leave in about 30 minutes, actually.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, we're almost done. I just have to add the baby's breath. That doesn't take long. I promise. All right. Just adding our last few little highlights there. Pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to go back in with my white and pop out some of these brighter petals with a little bit of white. Just a few of them that I want to really kind of pull forward. And I'm going right on top of my highlights here with this. Just kind of trying to create some brighter spots on my roses. And this is white, but you know, it's mixing with some of these other colors, so it's not pure white. Just a few little highlights. Really can see how much of difference it makes as I'm doing this. The difference between, you know, this petal and this one. Maybe.
It's awfully quiet in here.
I know. I'm just thinking. I'm concentrating. Really focused on this little. I know this is really. It's a lot of repetitive, so this is one that really could do time lapse, probably, because you know, it's like once you explain one of them, you don't have to explain it over and over again because it's pretty much repeat.
It's good practice.
It is good practice, yeah.
So again, for everybody who's joined in late, links down below in the description to all the supplies, Amazon store. Also, the description has all the paint colors and stuff like that too that are used. So
and the brush guys link too, so you can get 5% off. Use my code Angela Fine Art at the Brush Guys website to get these brushes that I'm using today.
Well, not these exact brushes, but ones like them.
No, the ones like them, the same brand.
Okay, good.
Yeah, these ones are getting, I've used them for a year, so they're starting, it's time to get some replacements. And I'm tough on my brushes. These ones hold up pretty well, so I've been happy with them.
Yeah, I listened to your art chat. And I heard you say that you were scared when I wash out your brushes.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Strange.
Dang it.
So I'm like, yes, I don't have to wash brushes anymore. That is so awesome. But if, you can join Angela's groups, Facebook. She does art chats on Mondays. There's one in the regular Thankful Art group, and then the Patreon group, Taking Flight, is for Patreon members.
Yes.
And
that one's for $10 a month.
Right, and she does, in those chats, she usually does kind of how-tos and instructionals, right?
Yeah,
little
more
bonus stuff.
In-depth, yeah.
And she did one on washing brushes.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right, I've got white, and I've added just a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium, so I've got kind of both on my brush. I'm really loading it up thick here with the paint. And I'm going to dab in my baby's breath with this, and I'm going to just punch it straight down so I get kind of fuzzy edges on my baby's breath. And it'll kind of flare out that brush a little bit. If you've got a real scruffy old brush, that's probably the best one to use for this. And I'm going to just dab in my baby's breath with this. Right over the top of my roses. In between. They don't have to be perfectly circle shapes. If you dab kind of straight down, it'll flare out those bristles. You get kind of a more natural shape. It'll look a little bit more realistic.
Okay,
I'm so busted.
Here's a question.
Yes.
So what's the difference between phthalo green yellow shade and phthalo green blue shade?
Basically just that there's a little bit more phthalo blue. Phthalo green can be mixed with phthalo blue and yellow. So the green shade has more yellow and the blue shade has less yellow in it. Oops, I'm off camera there.
Because blue and yellow make green, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's just less of one pigment makes it more of a bluish shade or yellowish shade.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all start with phthalo blue, I think, and then, they just add yellow to it in different degrees. So yeah, they're basically, if you have one, you can, you don't need both necessarily colors. Just add more or less yellow or a little bit of blue to it. Like if you have the phthalo green and you want a phthalo blue shade, you just add more blue to it.
And a little known fact that it was Sylvester the cat that named that phthalo blue.
That was bad. That was bad. That was not your best one.
But you're laughing at it.
I did laugh.
Because it's so stupid.
I'm not gonna lie. You're right. It's so stupid. Oh, goodness. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit smaller brush here. And those baby breath do have like a little dab in the center of them, little dots. So I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit of that green with the burnt umber and dab in a little dot in the centers of some of these little baby's breath here. And if you put any out here, kind of out, far out, you can make those a little bit more visible by dabbing them with that green for sure. But having that kind of wash on the outside here can help, because that way some of those baby's breath that might be invisible against that white background will show up a little bit. Just dabbing a little bit of white or a little bit of green in the centers of some of these. Don't do all of them, just do a few.
Now back to the blue-green shade stuff. What would make you choose between one or the other? I mean, why would you go with the green shade over?
I usually do the yellow shade just because it's closer to, you know, if I'm using phthalo green, or green, you know, usually wanting a more yellowish green anyways. So that's why I usually pull, you know, grab it. But it's just really a preference. Because if I'm using the phthalo green blue shade, I'm going to have to, you know, add a more yellow to it to get it to a green that is closer to what I want usually. But they're both good. You know, it just kind of depends on what I'm needing it for. All right, cleaning that out really well. Getting my Filbert clean here. And hopefully these are dry. All right, one last thing. I'm going to grab a little bit of this Cadmium Red and Quinacridone Magenta and my glazing liquid. And I'm going to glaze over the top of some of these roses. This is, if you don't have glazing liquid, just use water. But you want your paint to be thin. And we're going to go over the top, especially these red ones, because I put a little bit of that white on there. I want to tone those down a little bit, make them a little bit more of a true red. Super chat, awesome.
This one's from Holly Grote. No specific
Thank
chat
you,
in there,
Holly.
but thank you so much, Holly.
We really appreciate it.
More disco lights, baby.
I know. She just wanted the cowbell. Got a fever. She had a fever.
The only prescription.
With more cowbell.
More cowbell.
If you've never seen that skit with Christopher Walken and Will Ferrell, Saturday Night Live, do yourself a favor. Look it up. It was one of the funniest things ever. All right, so I'm just going over all these red ones and toning that down a little bit. See how that makes it more, you know, that brighter red. And I think I'm going to use it on, you know, a few of these other ones here too. Just a few of them. Some of the ones that maybe look like they need a little, some of these bigger ones especially. You can use it a little bit more strategically, do some strategery on here and you know, get them in and sort of shadow the petals as they, on the edges of them where they kind of tuck down in. So, you know, find the edges of all of those white or highlight petals and just dab a little bit of this shadow color or the highlight color in there, and it'll tuck those petals right down in to the flower, make them look like they go down in. This is a totally optional extra step. Don't have to do it. You can call it good at any point that you like yours, but I'm just kind of adding this little extra. Felt like it needed a little bit extra something to make them look a little bit more realistic. So I'm not going over all of it at this on these ones like I did with the red. I'm just kind of targeting the ends of some of these that are tucking down into the darker color. And this is mainly just Quinacridone Magenta here with a little bit of the glazing liquid. Request to zoom out.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. All right, I think we're happy with that. What do you think, hon? Good enough?
It looks pretty cool.
All right, I'm going to call that good. Thanks for watching today, guys. We really appreciate you, and we will be back at our normal time on Tuesday night. Oh, and we'll be back tomorrow, actually, for a seascape. We're going to do a rolling wave with the sunset behind it. So it'll be very realistic kind of seascape tomorrow for the Patreon folks. So if you want to join us for that, sign up for the $5 level on Patreon, and you'll find the link on a post there on the website. So patreon.com/AngelaFineArt, and we'll be back next Tuesday for another bonus video. We might be finger painting. One of Mark's suggestions, I think. A nest with finger paints. With our fingers. We'll see. I think that's what we're going to be doing. So it should be fun. All right, whatever we do, it'll be easy. Keep the easy ones for Tuesday nights. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.